My life is in your hands. My life is in your hands. You took control when I was young, when I was not able. My life is in your hands. My life is in your hands. You took control when I was young, when I was not able.
Welcome to my show called Inspired Blessings with Jean Marie Prince, and I want to thank you so much for joining us today. We have two special guests, and I'm just so thankful that they are here today. We have Chris Pellegrino, and we also have his mother, Annie Pellegrino. So I want to thank you so much for taking the trip and to be on my show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. I've had Anne on in the past, and a previous interview, and in which she's the founder of Bethel Hobbs community.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it's doing well, and your vegetables are growing, and to help to feed the poor on Long Island. So I just thank you for that ministry.
Thank you. Thank you. God is
and
good.
Through speaking with Anne, is that she had shared to me and introduced me to Chris, and explained in the fact that Chris used to be a walking, running young man, and of course we see that it's turned out to be a different story. So that's what we kind of want to share. So thank you so much, Chris, for really taking the courage to be here today, and
thank you.
and also for waiting around. But anyway, So Chris, when you were a teenager, what did you want to be when you got older?
What I wanted to be, join the military possibly. Just own my own business.
Okay, and as we see, things have changed.
Yeah.
And so now you will share with us later what you want to be as of now.
Right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. But we want to also find out, when you were growing up with your friends and things like that, what did you like to do for fun?
Really, it was just the party life. Honestly, then my friends started dying left and right. It was overdose, car accidents. It was insane.
Well, okay, share what age that kind of started happening.
Maybe 16.
So what would you say was the first time that you decided to take drugs?
17.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
And how did you like it? I mean, you liked it and you just kept on continuing it?
Yeah, I liked it at first. And then as time progressed, everyone else was doing it, so then you could say I was a follower.
Type of thing. Did you ever think that anything could happen to you?
No, at that time, like everyone else, thought I was invincible.
Right. And what age was this? Well, let's say we'll wait for that. But let's say, for instance, so you would say you had about, like average group that you would hang out with.
The age?
No, the amount.
10. It can be from 2 to 20 people.
Okay. And so where would you guys go to hang out and to do?
Friend's house, wherever.
Parents allowing you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Did you think it was wrong at all?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Because I always hung out with older people. So everyone was 21 when I was 17. So.
Now, at this point, did you know that Chris was doing all this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night until I heard the door, and then I would stay awake, worried, and every mother's nightmare.
Sure.
Waiting for it to happen, and
Right.
then when I heard him walk in is when I could sleep now.
Okay. Was he not listening to you? I'm sure you didn't want him to be doing it.
No, well, I was, all right, Mom, yeah, Mom, I was just the mother that didn't know anything,
Right.
But the problem was when he was younger, I too was a partier. So they were kind of following in my footsteps. And
Right.
Since then, my husband and I had become saved, so.
Well, they always say that sometimes there's that generation curse,
Yeah,
and somebody needs to stop it,
yeah.
And so how, Chris, were you raised? Like, what was your faith at that
You
time?
can always say I was Christian, but I didn't always follow the word.
Okay.
I mean, early teenage years would attend church, but I never followed the word or anything.
Right.
When my children were younger, I was married to their father, and I had wanted to bring them to church, but he wouldn't allow me. So, with that, they really never attended church until later on in life when both my husband and I became saved in 2007.
Right, right. And you must have been praying up a storm when you really realized,
Yeah, yeah.
So tell me this now, how does, you tell me what happens in the fact that you get a phone call? Or no, hold that thought.
Okay.
Tell me what happens the day of your car accident and how old you are.
Say that one more time?
Yeah, the day of the car accident,
Yes.
how old were you? And tell me the events of what happened.
I was 19. I was working at Mercedes-Benz, Southampton, and my friend broke his finger, so I was waiting around for him at work. It was like his day off actually, and he decided to come in. So I was waiting for his phone call at the hospital to pick him up. So I stayed after work, and I was on my way home from work, and ended up in a car accident.
Did you drink at this point? Were you drinking at this point?
No, completely sober.
So, who, like the person that hit you, what was the situation?
There was a confirmation where I was in the left lane, I was going slow, I was in no rush, and he came up behind me, and then he cut me off, and then he started cursing me out, and there was an altercation where we were fighting, and he cut me off again, and I lost control of my car, and I was ejected from the car, and they hit a tree.
Do you remember that actual, incident of?
Yeah,
like,
it was just slow motion.
So what were you seeing?
The sky, the ground, a tree, pretty much.
Right.
I don't know how to explain it.
And were you thinking, like, is this really happening to me? Is this a dream right now, or?
Yeah, the first, a lady came up to me. She asked me if I was all right. I said, yes, I'm fine, but where are my feet? I can't feel my feet because my car was right next to them. Like, my car was right next to me. I wasn't sure if my legs got cut off. I wasn't sure what happened to them. If my car was on top of them. So I asked her, I'm like, where are my feet? She said, they're right here, they're right here. I'm like, all right, fine. Can you please just get this tree off me? That's it.
Right. Do you remember calling out to God at all at this point? Did you?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. All right. So you just knew that something terrible just happened.
Yeah, I knew from that moment when they put me on the stretcher, I was paralyzed.
Wow. At 19, you must be thinking to yourself. Now, how do you get the phone call?
My husband and I, we were on our way to a meeting for the farm, and his friend who was driving behind him had called us and notified us that he was in an accident. And my husband actually took the call, thank God.
Right.
He said that they were going to airlift him to Stony Brook because we were in Centereach. His accident was all the way in Southampton. So my first reaction was, let's drive there. And my husband was like, no, by the time we get there, he's already going to be at the hospital, which was like 5 minutes from our house. So we decided to go straight to the hospital.
Right.
And we were waiting around, and I was just getting worried because there was no sound of helicopters. There was, we were there for an extreme amount of time. It had to have been at least an hour.
Right.
And, I was starting to get worried. And I walked outside to see if I can see a helicopter coming, and a woman came out of her car. and she's on her cell phone, and she says, "Pray for Christopher Costello. He's a 19-year-old boy. He was in a car accident." So I ran over to her, and I was like, "Did you say Christopher Costello?" She said, "Yes." And I was like, "That's my son." I was like, "How is he?" She said she was the woman that was driving behind him and actually pulled over and was talking with him. She said she was praying for him immediately. She said blood was coming out of his ears, which me being in the medical field knew that not a good sign.
Right, sure.
So we talked for a little bit more. It so happens that she was on the way to the hospital to visit her uncle. So when she went inside, I just started praying, "Lord, you can't take him now. He doesn't know you yet. You just..."
Because you knew the salvation of what happens to a non-believer.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
right.
That was
Tissues right there, yes. Good
That was-
call, Michelle. Yeah.
that was the most important thing, was
Right.
his salvation. Everything else
Didn't matter.
didn't
right.
matter at that point.
Right,
So.
right. And I just want to clarify. I know I said Pellegrino, but his
Costello.
is Costello. Okay, all right. You'll have to tell me how you spell that later. But anyway, okay. And yeah, I mean that's got to be frightening for a mother to know that something major just happened to your child. And yeah, you're right. In the fact that salvation being the most important, because she knew at this stage you didn't know God in your life.
Yeah.
Okay, and she knew the fact that God forbid something happened to you in her heart. She knew that you weren't going to be going to heaven.
Yeah.
And to know that your child. So, sometimes how do I say this? Is that you wonder sometimes, is it better for a person to survive the accident, being a quadriplegic, right, versus died? You know what I'm saying? No. But do you know what I'm saying? You ask an average person, they may say, "I'd rather that he just, that my child would have just died than have to deal with a life like this."
Right.
But you're not looking at this as being a quadriplegic.
Right.
You're looking at the sense of urgency of the fact that
Eternal.
he's not saved.
Right. The eternal
because this
was
body
more-
will not go with him to heaven or hell.
Exactly.
It's his eternal
Exactly.
soul.
Life on earth is just a blink of an eye. Eternity, is really what's important.
Right. And so you're willing to take him for the rest of his life like this to know that he's saved.
Yes.
So that's what a loving mother is. That has true faith, because only real faith would make or allow a mother to make that decision to say, "I'd rather have my son alive, being a quadriplegic, taken care of with him, whether it's finances, whether it's time, and so on, to know the fact that." So now, at this point, I also want to clarify, because I'm sure the viewers are saying, "Okay, well, he didn't get into the car accident because he was drunk or on booze or and on drugs." Okay, what happened was rage, and believe me, road rage is not a good thing either. Okay, but I also want you to explain to the people that are listening is that you had so many friends that died because of the drugs and because of the drinking.
Well, he kind of skipped a part there, because 6 months before this accident, he was in another car accident where he flipped his car 3 times. And he had a passenger in the car, and they walked out without a scratch on him. And I told him that, the only reason why you walked out is because you have a praying mother, that
Right.
God's calling you and you need to wake up. And a lot of his friends were living the same lifestyle he was. And it's true, he lost a lot of friends to suicide, car accidents, and drugs. And so when he got into the first car accident, we let him go for like 6 months without a car, and I was driving him back and forth to Southampton. And his friends would come and pick him up every night.
Right.
And this one particular night, he decided to stay home, and his friends were in a car accident. And every passenger passed away.
Oh my
And
goodness.
the driver survived. And so my girlfriend was actually driving behind that accident and got out and prayed with one of the girls that was in before she
Wow,
passed
God
away.
saved you. I mean, you got to think about it.
Yeah.
He's really listened to your mom's prayers there, because we definitely know 2 situations before.
At least twice
And
that I know of.
and not for nothing, but if you're getting out of a car accident, how worse can you come out of it?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But at least you have your mind to still know the difference, because there are people who bring damage.
Right.
And so at least the fact that God still kept your mind, so you would know the existence of Him.
Voice, yes.
Exactly. So now I want you to tell me about how your faith has changed because of this.
Well, actually, in the hospital, I'm not sure if it was when I stopped breathing. It was 3 nights into the hospital, and my mom.
Well, actually, I'm sorry, because you're jumping. Actually, when he got to the hospital and I was able to see him, he asked me to pray. He asked, he's like, Mom, I'm ready now.
Right.
So
Right. So at that point,
everything, I knew everything, no matter what the outcome was going to be, that it was okay.
Right.
So then 3 days into him being in the hospital, God.
I have my mom and my sister. They were at my feet, and I believe I stopped breathing. I don't remember what the outcome or the reason why, but the doctors and nurses ran in, and
He was coding.
I was incoherent. I was nothing, and actually I had an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Yeah, and Chris, when you talk more towards me, so you more towards the microphone. Thank you.
And it was just a right hand that just picked me up and just was rocking my body back and forth. I can see the doctors working on me. I could see my mom and sister. For some reason, they allowed them to stay.
Okay.
I can see them at my feet, and the hand didn't put me down until the doctors left, and everything was fine.
Wow. Now, when he said to you, when you said to your mom, please pray for me, was that after you had that experience or before?
That was before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
Because I
night-
would definitely have said it after. Oh my goodness, is that like another confirmation? Wow, something
Well-
really does exist.
Yeah, well, he said the sinner's prayer when he came into the emergency room. This episode happened when he was in the intensive care. It was 3 days later, and he was coding, and his heart was giving out, and the doctors were working on him, and they allowed me and my daughter to stay in the room. And maybe because we were calm, but I remember standing at his feet and just holding his feet and praying for him not to be afraid, that the Lord would wrap his arms around him and just let him feel his comfort. So I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. I didn't know if he was going to make it through this or not. But I just, whatever was going on, I didn't want him to be afraid. And I was comfortable with either way the outcome was going to be, because I knew he had already said the sinner's prayer. So I was just praying for God to comfort him. And then he slept the whole night. And then the next morning was Sunday morning, and I told my daughter, I'm going to go to church, you know. And when I came back, my daughter's not a believer. She's still not a believer. We're praying for her. But she came running out to me, and she said, Mom, you're not going to believe this. And I was like, what? She said, Chris woke up, and she said that he was in the hands of God last night. So it's just like, it was just confirmation that God does hear your prayers.
And you know what, like I said, is that you were on a previous interview and you have an amazing testimony yourself. So my viewers, please check out her interview, and you'll see it's very interesting. So when you did say to Mom, or when you accepted, Jesus Christ in your life, was it out of fear, or what was it out of?
I'm not exactly sure at that point in time.
But you just knew that you needed to accept Him.
Yeah.
And realizing the fact that, you know what, He is real. But really, after you had that coding and you had that experience, oh my goodness, is that more comforting experience to be? I bet you that gives you the strength to sit there and to be a quadriplegic, and now to be able to really want to tell others. So now, where do you want to be?
Public speaker.
Right, and to share your testimony.
Yes, that there's more to life than just partying, drugs, and people aren't invincible. your life can be gone in an instant.
I still picture the picture that your mom showed me that I actually had on your interview, and it was you in the field at Hobbs Farm when
Yes.
Hobbs Farms first started, and you were you were a skinny guy. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
You and in the fact that that was before everything. How old was he?
He was about 14.
14.
About 14,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right,
He
right.
he was actually what helped start the farm.
Right.
You know, he used to
right.
come down, and one of your friends came down with you too.
Franklin.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. so-
Yeah,
Think
I
so.
mean, I did come visit you at the house the first time, and just seeing what's involved in really your care. It was in your living room and on the bed, and you had him put like on lifted up with like
Hoyer
your head to be able
lift.
to stress
Yeah.
to lift him up, I guess to.
A Hoyer lift,
yeah,
yes,
and then
to
also to be able to
transfer him.
transfer him and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, so the care and you know, so how have you endured? I mean, being first of all taken care of, and then not being able to move. I mean,
Life goes on.
What's your thoughts? What are you thinking?
Life goes on. There's a reason for everything, I feel, and
Are you happy you survived?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, because I'm thinking the
Definitely.
average person would not want to have survived.
I wish the outcome was different, of course.
Of course, you know,
Yeah,
of course,
but
of course.
life goes on.
No, that's great that you have such a positive attitude, and to accept.
The grace
Your
of
faith.
God is poured all over him.
Well, that's it.
Poured all over him.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. So now, are you taking courses for speaking, or?
Yes.
Okay. How's that going?
It's going good. I actually just got done taking public speaking and art history, which is horrible, but it was good. Yeah.
Now, how are you? You going to school, or you taking
I'm going to
online?
school in the winter. I take online classes, but during the fall, I go to school, yes.
Okay. So now, who goes with them?
I go, and one of his nurses goes with us as well.
Are you learning anything? I mean, I'll tell you this.
His teacher actually told me, you should sign up too, you might as well get credit for it.
I'll just tell you this. One time I actually, when I was a special ed aide, and I was, it was in a mainstream class, it was a one-on-one.
Uh-huh.
So I remember the first day of doing this, and the girl was, you know, she was doing math. The teacher was teaching her math, and she was doing whatever. She goes, Miss Prince, is this right? And I looked at it, and this was only, what, 5th grade? I looked at it, and I'm like, you know what? And I wouldn't say the name. I said to her, why don't you look over it? Just because I'm Asian doesn't mean I'm going to go to math. But yeah, so it can be very tough. I think if I was sitting in class, I'd be going one ear and out the other. So it's just amazing what God has done in my life. That's where His miracles show. But
That is good.
so is it fun though? I mean, you
Yeah, it's
interesting.
fun. Yeah.
And how are your peers receiving you?
Pretty
they
good.
nice?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So like, how often do you go to class? You know, how many times?
It was once a week.
Okay.
My last class, when I was going to school, and then the online class was a couple times a week.
Okay.
He gets a lot of care, so, you know, it's his
Sure. Full
time
time.
is limited, but, you know,
Right.
so we thought that taking one class at a time would best fit
No,
him.
definitely. How are you finding the homework?
Art history was extremely hard.
Well, I'm bad in history, but I'll put on art on top of that. Forget it.
Public speaking was a breeze.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's because your passion.
Yeah.
That's what it is. When it's your passion, you can be able to do it because you love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know. And you know what? I hate to say, not that you wanted this platform, but you have a good platform.
Thanks.
And you can go around to the different schools and teach,
Yeah.
and really the young students really need to hear your testimony.
Yeah.
And I hope the fact that these schools would allow you to be able to say it's only God who helped you to get through.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but yeah, there are so many It's, you know how many teenagers must not make it to graduation because of the poor choices that they've made, and they think it's fun. Is it fun really to damage your cells, to
Right.
damage the insides of your body? And
Right.
Well, what people don't know is peer pressure. I mean, people do this and that because to get all these friends. Meanwhile, they don't know that they're not going to have those friends in 3 years after they graduate.
they're not. I mean, you know what? You're right, because I mean, I go to high school reunion, and there's only probably maybe
A handful of friends that you're friends
maybe
with.
even a handful of
Yeah.
friends that people even stay in touch with.
Yeah.
But it's a shame that people do listen to other people's approvals. And
Yeah.
in my book, I mean, I hate to say it, but in my book, when I was growing up, I was maybe only second or third Asian in school. I got made fun of, and believe me, it got so bad that I came home and said, Mom, I want to have a surgery to look American. You know what I'm saying? Because it really can hurt. It really can hurt, you know, peer pressure, whether they're saying to do this, and then you feel like, you know, you should be doing it, but, you know, they're not the good friends that you want.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to, you know, to realize.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and it's a shame the fact that some people teenagers need to be the leader, doing the right,
Yeah.
giving the right direction.
Yeah.
What they don't understand is that some of the choices that you make could last a lifetime.
Don't
You
we
know?
know?
And
it's not
Chris
only
is learning the hard way.
But it's not only Chris's lifetime, it's your
Right.
lifetime. It's
Right.
his sister's lifetime,
Right.
you know? That the sister could have been out playing and running and doing stuff like that,
Right.
you know? But no, but I'm glad, and you know, that you definitely here and to be able to share your testimony, because I definitely feel that other teenagers need to hear it. And maybe, who knows, maybe this interview will reach somebody that's out there having that type of life.
Exactly.
You know, and we know that what God says, that, you know, ours, it's just the breath of life. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And and our life is just like a blink of an eye.
That's right.
Exactly.
It goes that fast.
That's right.
And in some ways, you want to make an impact on your life. And you know, in some ways, you're actually going to, believe it or not, make more impact being in that chair in your life than if you continue to drink and so on. And eventually you would have gotten into a car accident that you wouldn't have survived it all.
Yeah.
And then what kind of impact really would you have made on the world?
Exactly.
So I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so thankful that you are here on the show.
Thank
and to
you.
be able to share it. And you look
Thank
great,
you for
by the
having
way.
me.
You look great. And you know what? Just recently, 2 months ago, he had such a...
Yes.
I didn't even know if you were going to make it.
Yes, yes. He's had a couple of close calls. Yeah, he was in intensive care. We almost lost him a couple of times.
Yeah, that's got to be
But
scary.
every
too.
time the doctors, he's so bad, he bounces right back, and the doctors are amazed at how fast he bounces back and how fast.
Yeah, because of the last incident, I was definitely worried, thinking,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know if you were going to survive.
Yeah,
That was-
he was
that was
septic.
bad.
He was
Yeah.
septic, and well, I didn't know if he was going to make it either.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but
Well, I want to thank you so much for being on my show.
Well, thank you for
You know,
having me.
And I always like to give one of my guests an inspiration that God blessed me with. He blessed me with over 100, and I chose the one for you called "Let Your Trials Belong to Jesus." For more information on Inspired Blessings, inspirational prints and books and CD album, please go to jeanmarieprince.com. God, the purpose is that you're supposed to go out to really share your testimony to others and speak to other teenagers
Yeah.
to let them know to stop what they're doing. That's going to destroy them.
Yeah, I've also been working.
So thank you so much.
No
And
problem.
just wanted to share again my new CD album called Inspired Blessings with Jean Marie Prince. And if you want more information, my website, jeanmarieprince.com. It's also on CD Baby that you can download. And just want to thank you for joining us today. And keep Inspired Blessings within arm's reach to help give you comfort when others are lost for words. Thank you, and God bless. To accept and receive Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, please say this prayer. I know that I am a sinner who needs forgiveness. Jesus, please forgive me for all my sins and purify me. I know that you died and rose again to pay for my sins. I need you to be my Lord and Savior for the rest of my life. Thank you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
This is impossible, but with God, all things are possible.